Hello everyone, welcome you all to the brand new training of Spring Boot. Let me talk about me. I'm a technical architect having 14 plus years of experience in software training, development and design. I can say yes, I'm expert in Java, Spring, Hibernate, Angular and microservices. So, with these 14 years, I have been seeing many applications, and recently I'm very closely working with the Spring Framework and Spring Boot Framework because it's all the trend related to microservices. Okay, with that, let's quickly understand the today agendas under this demo. What are the things we're gonna cover? So we will be seeing that what are the course curriculum, Spring Boot introduction, Spring Boot in market, Spring Boot certification, and yes, one of the live demo of the very popular topic of Spring Boot called DevTools, a Spring Boot projects demonstration that will be also covering as a part of this demo, Spring Boot lab setup, Spring Boot additional course resources, Spring Boot mock interviews, and if you have some set of questions, you can feel free to drop questions at the below mail ID. So let's get started. We will be starting with the Spring Boot introduction. Why Spring Boot? What are the advantages of Spring Boot? All the things we're gonna learn from scratch under this training. These are the high level content of Spring Boot, but make sure that this is not the only. You might be getting lots more when I will be covering the Spring Boot training. All examples going to be used in one of the real-time project which I will be delivering you and also giving you as a homework to complete that. So these are the high levels curriculum which we will be talking under this training. What this course includes basically. So under this course, we are expecting a person should have a good knowledge of core Java and also they have a at least basic and fundamental understanding of a Spring framework. Remember, a Spring Boot is a wrapper on a Spring framework, right? So under this, all the auto configuration, bean actuator, and lots more we're gonna learn with the live examples, live use cases. Yeah. So this course will be good for the person who is having some sort of knowledge about core Java and also about the Spring framework, right? Under the Spring Boot, we will be also talking more deeply about RESTful web services and related concepts. Why Spring Boot? Why people are talking about Spring Boot? Well, it's all about the microservices architecture. So when you are talking about microservices architecture, the big monolithic application has been broken into small services which is serving your request independently and communicating with each other as a REST application. And yes, when you talk about these small services, software as a services, then Spring Boot is saying you, I will be giving you the standalone production ready application. What is a standalone? What is production ready application? I will be talking more details when we will be starting the actual training. What is the value of a Spring Boot? Do I need to wait for a job to get into Spring Boot? Answer is no. Spring Boot is the highly demand knowledge right now from the industry, especially the projects using the Java. So you have a huge opportunity globally if you are a Spring Boot developer. For a small things, I can give you one example. In a GitHub, out of 100 GitHub libraries, 15 of them are Spring related. You can understand the popularity of the Spring framework, and I can pretty sure this Spring framework is uh, at the peak, and they're working hard to make sure that upcoming years also it is going to be compatible with all modern and latest technology. The average salary of Java Spring developer is around 8 plus lakhs in INR as per the payscale.com. It can go more and more, and I'm pretty sure it is not going to be down. So if you have experience in Java, you want to make your career more challenge and getting more money out of that, then make sure that you're going to learn this Spring Boot training, also the Spring framework if you not have that. Yes, we are providing the certifications also. Why we need certification? As per my understanding, knowledge is more important when you are in crowd, when you want to get a more interview call, when you want to advertise yourself, then yes, certification is required. Certification is giving the recruiter the understanding you have went to the Spring Boot certification. It means you know what is a Spring Boot, and you can easily grab the concepts of real time requirements. Well, so that's the reason certification is important. What is this certification and how it looks like? I talked about what is the certification, but after completion of your course, you're gonna get the certificate from our side, that is looks like something like this. Yes, and that you can put in your resume, and also you can put over the LinkedIn profile. Let's talk about the technical concept about Spring Boot DevTools. DevTools is one of the concept in Spring Boot. Trust me, it's not only the Spring Boot. It is one of the small concept. And for demonstration, it is important for me to show you the one of the live demonstration of DevTools or any concepts. I feel this is important for you to understand, and that's the reason I have selected this. With this, I'm also assuming that person is having the some sort of idea related to how a Spring Boot project looks like and how to initiate it. But when I will be starting the Spring Boot training, I will be showing you from zero, from scratch, what how to set up your complete Spring Boot projects. But since it is a limited time, I will be directly moving to the concept of DevTools. Well, how many of you know that when you are compiling your code, and if it is a web application, then the each compiled file, especially the Java files, which is not a static files, have to be go into the Tomcat server or any web servers to get this reflection done. So when you are dealing with the real-time projects while working as a developer, many time you have to do fail and try approach. You have to change your logic, and you have to make sure that this logic is working fine or not, but the steps are very tedious. What you need to do is, after compilation, just again build a var with the help of Maven or Gradle, whatever building tool you are using. Then this var have to go to your Tomcat, but before going to Tomcat, you have to stop your Tomcat instead. Put your var into the web apps folder. Again, start the Tomcat. Check your reflect code is changed or not. Whatever modification you did, it is reflecting or not. But it is not the only one time you have to do. As a developer, this have to be done very frequently, and it is really time consuming process. So here the Spring Boot DevTools come up for you, which is saying, hey developer, do not waste your time to do lots of boilerplate steps. You know, let's not do lots of steps for your formalities. Rather than you focused on your core business logic development, you focus to write your project specific code. And yes, guys, develop dev tools is stands for developer tool, which is helping you to automatically grab the changes of your code, making a var or jar, whatever configuration you have in your form.xml file, and deploying into your Tomcat or whatever server you are using. This dev tool is also using the live reload server, which is actually taking your changes. And if you are experienced, then you can easily understand this is one of the design pattern called observer design pattern under the behind the developer tools concepts. So with that, let me open my IDE Eclipse where I will be showing you the dev tools demonstration. Okay, to enable the dev tools, what you need to do is under your pom.xml file, which is one of the Maven specific file, stands for project object model. You have to add just one more dependency called Spring Boot DevTools, and that's all. You don't need to do any additional configuration related to DevTools, and that is the beauty of your Spring Boot framework. Once you add it into your class path, then whatever related beans, whatever related configuration have to be set up, Spring Boot is doing automatically. Yeah. So now we will be seeing what actually the DevTool is helping for us. So I have a very pretty simple example of a Spring Boot kinds of hello world programming. There you will be seeing I have one application which is the entry point of your Spring Boot application holding at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation. And since Spring Boot is providing you the entry point as a Java main method, so yes, we also have Java main method. We have also one controller which is kinds of a REST controller holding one request mapping, that is the home page URL, returning you the messages hello from DevTool test again. This message is going to be returned when somebody is hitting our home page. As we know that Spring Boot is used for web application development, so you also have to configure the port each tomcat is having, or any server is having the port. So let's change it to 9090. If you not give the server port, it is going to deploy it on 8080, and 8080 port is always used by some set of application or server inside your system. To be in safer side, I have changed my port to 9090. This is the application.properties file, and why I have given the some set of configuration here. I will be talking about it in more details when I will be dealing with the high level programming of Spring Boot. So, in high level, Spring Boot is asking you do not have any XML configuration, do not have any further files for your configuration, just one file, which is a properties file, or it could be a YAML file to have the complete set of configuration. With that, I don't have anything extra in this project. We will be talking about what is the importance of at the rate of the Spring Boot application when I will be dealing with the first hello world programming. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my application as a Java application. So right click on this, run as Java application. The moment you will be putting on the Java application, you will be able to notice that Spring Boot console has been started. Not only that, your Tomcat, which is your internal plugin of your Spring Boot, you don't need to actually install the Tomcat separately. Rather than it, Spring Boot itself is having one plugin of your Tomcat, and that is the reason we are saying it is a standalone and production ready application. So once you are saying I'm done with the development, it means you can easily take this jar or var which is working as a running service. You can also see with this Tomcat, one more server has been started called live reload server. This is coming because you have a DevTools dependency added into your pom.xml file. So Tomcat is started on the port 9090. Live reload server is running on 35729. We don't need to bother about this server. Our application is running on this 9090. So let's come to the browser, hit the localhost 9090, and you can see here I'm getting a message from my REST controller which is saying hello from DevTool test again. Yeah, and here is the controller again, which is just having the slash URL that indicates the home page is going to be responded by this particular method. What is this request mapping? All these things again I'm talking under the first hello world programming itself. Now, this is not the idea I want to show you. I want to show you what is happening if I'm changing this piece of code. Let's say I have changed something in my message, which is test again and again. The moment you will save this program, if you have dealt with the typical web application, which is servlet JSP, after modification of Java program, you have to again compile it. You have to generate a var file, copy that var file, go to the Tomcat, open the web apps folder, put that into there, again restart your Tomcat, and then only you will be able to see your changes is coming properly or not. But DevTool is smart enough. You can notice here this file is not saved. This star indicates file is not saved. The moment I will be saving this file, automatically DevTool has picked up this change, and look at this. The latest changes had been automatically deployed into the Tomcat. Tomcat has been restarted again. How can we make sure that? Go there and hit the refresh button. Look at the changes are coming. Isn't it cool? You don't need to really do lots of steps to get your actual changes to reflected there. And as a developer, we need these features always. We we have to do many times fail and trial approach. We have to play around with that. And DevTool is helping you to achieve that. Not only that, suddenly you want to change any configuration here, right? So let's say I have changed the port from 90 to 9091. If you change any configuration in the application the properties also, this changes is going to be reflected. And now if I clear the browser and save this file, again DevTools will be checking and monitoring the complete project structure, and whenever he found any changes is happening, it is going to reflect in your browser. But this time, since I'm using 9091, I will be hitting this port, I will be getting nothing because now 9091 is active. For this, I have to change to 9091, and again you can see I'm able to see the messages coming from REST controller. Spring Boot is very much smart to read your class path and doing the all infrastructure for you. These all discussions going to be take around 1.5 class to discuss all about this. It is not a straightforward, The Spring Boot is starter, what are the jobs of a starter, what are the parents, all the things I'm gonna talk about it. But what if I don't want DevTools to be enabled for a certain timings? Do I need to remove that dependency from the pom.xml file? No. Spring Boot is also providing you the some set of mechanism by which you can disable the live reload server, that is DevTools, by simply setting it to a false. So if I make it false, then after changing your code, you need to again restart the application by yourself. So Spring Boot is always giving you the control for their all features and plugins. So this is one of the very interesting points under DevTools, and it have to be well known for each Spring Boot developer. With that, I'm ending the technical demo here and bringing you back to the Spring projects we will be demonstrate, yes, after the training completion and during the training itself, you guys are going to create your own real time best one Spring Boot project where I might be using the Angular as a UI, which is a separate microservices, along with the REST API service developed in Spring Boot. And also, I'm gonna give you one set of homework where you will be developing some real-time project for yourself. If any problem or any if you need any sort of helps, I will be always with you to help it out. Well, lab setups, there is no complex software required for Spring Boot. You just have a Java 8, which is the minimum version required for Spring Boot. Windows 10 is fine, and latest Eclipse is also fine. Prerequisites, we have already talked. If you have a good knowledge about the core Java, some sort of understanding about the Spring MVC and IOC, Maven Gradle, then you are ready to go with the Spring Boot. Because RESTful web services kinds of concept, it is not a part of Spring Boot, but still I will be covering the brush up on main fundamental concept of RESTful web services under this course itself. Okay, do we have some additional course related to that? Yes, you have. The first course you must go if you are not aware with the Spring Framework, please go the Spring Framework training first. Because the true flavor of a Spring Boot you will be understanding the fundamental and basic you are understanding once you have a Spring Framework knowledge. You also must have the Hibernate knowledge, microservices knowledge, and these are the additional courses you can go for Spring Boot developers as a Spring Boot developer. Mock interviews, these are the some set of important questions always asked by the interviewers. So I will be preparing you for this mock interviews, asking you lots of questions related to that and giving you the lots of questions related to Spring Boot. And these questions answer you don't need to prepare or you need to remember, rather than after completion of the Spring Boot course, you having the clear picture and answer ready with you. So anybody is asking any questions related to Spring Boot, I'm pretty sure as a candidate of a Spring Boot interview, you are going to answer them in well manner. With that, we are at the end of our demonstration. If you have any questions or anything doubt related to this demo and the course, please drop a mail to this. People will respond to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the class then. Bye bye.